Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute before we started tonight's video and talk to you about a subject matter that I feel like we don't talk about enough in society or on social media, and that is mental health. I can personally get on here and tell you that I have struggled with mental health issues since I was younger. I have been medicated. I have talked to a therapist. So I'm somebody that is an advocate for getting help, speaking to somebody, to getting medicated. I just want to empower anybody that is going through any kind of mental health issue to reach out for help. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you so much more stronger than you will ever understand. It takes a lot to take that first step, but when you do, it's a whole different world that you will step into. So if you are dealing with a mental health issue, I'm going to actually list some resources in the description box. And please take that step and make the phone call or email or just start the conversation. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. And now we're going to go ahead and get into the story. So our story tonight is the story of Larry-MONCADA, and it's a very sad story, to be honest with you. It's sad, and I really wish that something could have been done, and his story didn't end the way that it did. So Larry was 25 years old, and he lived in Iowa. Now, he was dealing with some mental health issues, but he had actually went to the doctor and had got on medication. But the thing is, we don't know if the medication wasn't working for him, because sometimes when a doctor prescribes you medication, it doesn't always work for everybody. Sometimes you have to go through kind of a round to see what medication works best for you. But we don't know what was going on with that medication, if he stopped taking it or if it just wasn't working. So on November 28th, 2009, Larry was really struggling with some mental issues, and he fled his family home. Now, the scary thing about Larry leaving his family home was not only the state of mind that he was in, but also he left with no socks, no shoes, no keys, and he didn't have a car. So his parents were automatically scared because he just ran out into the middle of a snowstorm, because it was severely snowing in Iowa at this point in time. He just ran into a snowstorm with no shoes or socks or anything on, so they were very alarmed. They were very scared for their son's safety. Now, Larry worked at a supermarket called No Frills Supermarket. And I'm going to guess that it was kind of like I live here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so I'm going to guess it's kind of like a Winn-Dixie or a Food World or something, or Bruno's or something in that manner, But he worked there. I couldn't find out what he did there, but I'm going to guess he was like a stalker or a cashier or something. But that's where he worked, and so his parents went there, and he wasn't there. He wasn't even scheduled to work that day. So sadly, after them searching for him, they could not find him. His case went cold. There was no clues, no nothing. So come January of, actually I think it was January 24th of 2019, some construction workers actually had went into the abandoned building because the No Frills supermarket had actually closed down. So a crew of contractors had actually went in the building to start like renovating it, because I'm going to guess that somebody had leased the building. These construction workers and contractors went inside the store to actually start gutting the store of all the like old equipment, like the cash registers and the shelving units and the freezers. Now, something about this store that you should probably know is the freezers were actually 12 feet high. So they were very, very tall freezers, and they were extremely loud. By what I read, when they were running, they were very, very loud. That kind of comes into play of our story here. When the supermarket was actually running, it was known by the employees that, I guess, where the top of the freezer was, there was like some kind of storage space up there, and the employees would actually climb into the storage place and just like chill. You know, I'm sure that they probably like got their snacks and, you know, drinks, and probably like chilled out and like took their 15-minute breaks there, you know, to get away from the craziness of, do you got any more turkeys in the back? Do you have any more milk? You know, those kind of things. And so they would climb into this storage space and just relax and just kind of hide away from people. And sadly, that is what is thought happened to Larry. So when the contractors actually came in to gut the building, they started to remove these 12-foot freezers. And when they pulled away one of the freezer sections, they found a decomposing body. Now, there was no identification on the body. So, can you imagine, like, you're pulling away this freezer and there's a dead body behind it? You know, I mean, I can only imagine, like, what that does to somebody that is actually working on this building. But they find this decomposing body. There's no ID on it. So they have to send off the body to try to be identified by DNA. Now, what they think is that Larry had climbed on top of this space, and when he did, somehow he slipped and fell down behind the actual freezer unit. And they said that the freezer unit was actually very, very loud. The fans that ran on it were very, very loud, and so you could not hear anything behind there, or that's what they thought, that even if he screamed for help, that you wouldn't be able to hear him because of the thickness of the freezer and also because of the fans that were running. So sadly, the DNA comes back that it is Larry's, and his parents are absolutely horrified. So I try to think as a parent what it would be like for my child to be missing, and then come to find out that they fell behind this freezer, screamed for who knows how long, until they passed away. Because if you think about it, it's a pretty excruciating death. I'm going to guess that his body, he was probably dehydrated, and that's probably how he ended up passing away. There's no telling. But I can't imagine as a parent what that would feel like to know that your child fell behind this and was screaming for help for we don't know how long. We don't know how long he was behind that cooling system, but he screamed and yelled, and probably how scared he was. I can't imagine the terror and the thoughts that probably went through his mind. But then I also think, as a parent, because he was missing for over 10 years, would I want closure in that sense? Would I want his body to be found? And I would think yes, because you have somewhat of a peace, and you have closure to the story, because you know that even though your child died this horrible death, you have some sense of closure, and you have your child's remains, and you can actually bury your child. You know, you can actually close that chapter of your child's life. And it's so crazy that more wasn't revealed about this case. I just thought that it was so insane that more channels hadn't covered this case and how it wasn't brought to the forefront and how it wasn't addressed more. It just makes you super sad. But also it gives me a little relief as a parent that I've laid my child to rest, that you have closure, you know what happened to your child, and they're not out there just missing, you know? And in some sense, you know how your child actually passed away. I was baffled by this story, to be honest with you. I just can't imagine or think like how you can be behind a cooler, because I worked in a grocery store. Now, we didn't have a space like above the freezers where you could chill out or anything, but we did have really high freezers, and we used to stack these cans of popcorn during the holidays. And I remember climbing up on ladders and like stacking these cans of popcorn on top of these freezers, and sometimes I would look down and I'd be like, oh, just how tight it is between these freezers, you know? It's a scary thought to even think about. If it goes through your mind, if you falling off in there, like, it's a scary thought, you know? So I can imagine how scared he was. Terrified. And you're just screaming and screaming and screaming, and nobody can hear you, and nobody is coming to your rescue, you know? I just hope and pray that his death was a painless and quick death, because nobody would want somebody to suffer like that and be alone. That is my prayer, that he went quickly and that he was not scared, because I can imagine in my mind how scared I would be, you know. It's a very sad story of mental health not being treated properly or not getting the correct treatments, and what happens when it's not treated. I think right now we can, and for like the last few years, we can actually see, just reading the news or reading a newspaper or watching the news every night, you can see school shootings, all these kinds of things, what goes on when people and mental issues are not treated properly. So once again, I know that I said it in my intro. If you are dealing with a mental issue, or if you know somebody that is dealing with a mental issue, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Like I said before, I've been on medication since I was like 14 years old. There is nothing wrong with saying I need help. There is nothing wrong with it. It's actually, I think that you're a super strong person if you say, hey, I need help. Please help me. That is the strongest. That is like the definition of strength to me. So let's just keep Larry's family in our thoughts and prayers. I know he's passed on, but I like to pray that angels encamp families and just give them a peace, because you got to think, they're going to think of him every holiday, on his birthday, just in general, you know, you're always thinking about your child, especially one that has passed away. I think that probably a parent always, their child is always on their mind. So let's just keep his family in our thoughts and prayers. Like I said in the beginning, there is information for hotlines and resources if you know somebody that needs help. So please don't be afraid to reach out and take that first step. Thank you guys again for tuning into my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.